As per some estimates, the Russian military has deployed as many as 20 generals to lead Russia's onslaught in Ukraine. Out of this, Russia has lost at least 5 generals in fighting in less than a month. By comparison, the United States has lost 2 general officers during the global war on terror, which has lasted for more than 20 years. Army Lieutenant General Timothy Maude was killed at the Pentagon during the September 11, 2001 attack, and Army Major General Harold Greene was killed in an August 5, 2014 insider attack in Afghanistan. The death of one general officer in combat is an incredibly rare thing. The death of multiple generals is almost unbelievable. This can't be brushed aside as coincidence, and multiple factors are at play. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why Russia is losing so many military generals in Ukraine. Let's get into the details. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN is a premium VPN service available for macOS, iOS, Windows, and Android, with more than 5,400 servers in 60 countries. Your privacy is vulnerable to factors like data logging by internet service providers, and NordVPN is known for its zero-log policy. Your local content can be blocked based on your geolocation while traveling. For example, your favorite TV series can be limited to your local region when you're abroad. A VPN or virtual private network can help you to protect your privacy through an encrypted connection to its servers. With a broad range of servers in various countries, you can access websites that are not available in other countries. Also, it stops invasive trackers on browsers and scans URLs to warn users about malicious websites. Use the link in the description to get 71% off the 2-year plan, plus a gift from NordVPN. At the checkout, use the code DEFENSE to get an extra month for free. Russian commanders generally tend to take a hands-on approach when compared to Western military leaders. They operated much closer to the front line. While maps and models are referred to, the Russian generals like to survey the territories themselves to optimize the battle plans. For example, during Operation Uranus in World War II, Soviet General Marshal Zhukov personally visited the front and, noticing the poor organization, insisted on a 1-week delay in the start date of the planned attack. Though this kind of approach is fine from certain perspectives, there are some implications. It makes Russian generals more susceptible to enemy attacks, and in some cases, even friendly fire. Russian troops have reportedly been suffering due to poor communication equipment that are unreliable. Ukrainian intelligence officials have indicated that they picked up on radio chatters expressing frustration over a breakdown in secure Russian communications equipment. Ukrainian forces have also been compounding the Russians' communications woes by jamming their radio frequencies. This has compelled many Russian soldiers to resort to using cell phones, which can be intercepted by the Ukrainians. Once a call is intercepted, it can be traced back to the location from which it's made and targeted. It's to be noted, in this context, that Ukraine is still in control of the country's cellular network. Also, because of this, Russian generals are struggling to get support even when in dire need. Russia's military command structure is very centralized. Russian soldiers at lower levels of command are delegated less responsibility. They're trained to be obedient, but can't take any initiative themselves. So every soldier simply does what they're told, a Soviet-era hangover that still exists even today. The quality of these recruits is also not very good. Hence, there are a lot of responsibilities for the senior commanders. They plan as well as drive the battle. The Western militaries generally are much more flexible. This kind of setup means that Russian commanders have a lot to do. Their need for interactions and travels are a lot more compared to their Western counterparts. This makes them vulnerable, especially when operating inside enemy territory. Military experts around the world have pointed out that there is a lack of coordination between the Russian Air Force and ground troop formations. It's evident from the examination of several footage that Russian columns of troops moved forward beyond the reach of their own air defense cover, which exposed them to attacks. Several times, Russian convoys have even been ambushed by Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 drones, which should have been taken out in advance by Russian aircraft or air defense systems. It's clear that Russians are having difficulty coordinating multi-domain operations, and hence, at times, the senior commanders are finding themselves in scenarios from which there's no easy escape. Since Russia has not achieved air superiority, close air support is not always quickly available that could help the Russian military leaders wriggle out from tight spots. Russian military planners underestimated the strength of Ukraine's armed forces. It not only didn't take into account that the Ukrainian military has made significant progress in terms of training and equipment with the help of the West since the capture of Crimea in 2014, but has also made an improvement when it comes to formulating strategies. According to a report on the BBC, a specific Ukrainian military intelligence team has been set up to target Russia's senior officers. This is part of the Ukrainian military tactic to damage the Russian military's decision-making abilities. Ukraine is numerically and equipment-wise at a disadvantage, and hence such an asymmetric approach has been taken. This also helps with setting up the narrative and information war. Loss of leaders can also inflict a heavy toll on the morale of the Russian troops, which has already been low since the beginning of the hostilities.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.